Next, we're going to go over the general education sheet for the CSU. And general education goes back to the start of universities. Everybody's done general education who has a college degree. It's just part of the process. And it's really there to ensure that students have a broad understanding of various different subjects, not just the one subject that you study to earn your degree. And from the start of universities, it's been a part of the process so that students also learn critical thinking skills and dig a little bit deeper into various subjects. At SRJC, we have 3 general education patterns, as I already talked about. And so the one for the CSU is option B, or the yellow sheet. So it looks like this when you physically go in to see a counselor and it is handed to you. All right, so I came into the Transfer Center website. So from the home page, you would scroll over here on the left-hand side to general education. And from there, you would come onto this page, which talks about GE. So a couple of things here. Down here, if you click on this link, it will take you to a search page through the chancellor's office. So if you're at Santa Rosa Junior College and the course you need, it's not being offered, or the time doesn't work for you or something like that, you can come in here and do a search. So let's say you need a critical thinking class. So I'm going to click on Find Classes. And then it's going to bring up a list of classes that meet that critical thinking requirement for the CSU general education requirements. So this class is at Ohlone College. Taft is another English class, College of the CSUge. But maybe you don't want English, you want something else. So you can keep looking to see. So here's a business class at El Camino. And you can keep going. You can see there's quite a few options there for you. So I just wanted to make sure you know about that option for yourself. And then here we have the pattern, the option B pattern. So this is updated every year. So you can see here, 2019-20, okay? So we already talked about having to have a minimum of 30 units of general education, and that includes all of Area A, as we discussed, and B4. So a couple other things, let me make this a little bit bigger for us. We can get it there, sorry. There we go. So option B is your sciences. And so you're going to need a physical science and a life science, and one of those needs to have a lab activity. So the lab activities are indicated with an asterisk. And so if you take Agri 20, the lab is part of the class. However, if you do astronomy, you take astronomy 3, then you could do either 3L or 12. It's another unit. So astronomy 3 is 3 units, 3L is 1 unit, or 12 is 1 unit. So you combine the 2 to get the lab. So if you do the physical science with a lab, you would come and do the life science without a lab. You don't have to have a life science with the lab. However, let's say you are a psych major going to UC Davis. They may say, well, you need to have, they don't may say, they do say, you need Anthro 1 and you need Bio 10. So you're going to do 2 life sciences for your major, okay? One of those has a lab, Bio 10. So then you would come up here and do astronomy or environmental sciences to meet that or that physical science without a lab. So again, the importance of knowing your major and then picking out your courses for general education is going to be helpful for you. So let's say a student did, NRM 51 and then decides to become a psych major for UC Davis. So now they're going to have to do 2 more classes in Area B2. So knowing your major is going to help you in saving time. So I know some of you are still trying to figure that out. The sooner you do, the better. And we already talked about math. So Area C is 9 units. You need 1 class from the arts and 1 class from the humanities. And then the third class can come from either arts or humanities. So what you can't do is take all 3 classes in the humanities. You have to separate them out, and that goes back to being broad within your education. Then you have Area D. You need 9 units from at least 2 disciplines. Again, being broad, you can't have all 3 classes in history, okay? So you can have 2 classes in history and 1 class from psych. Then you have Area E, which is lifelong learning and self-development. So you have lots of options in here. A lot of students see the plus sign and think, oh, I could take child development 10, 51, 90, and so they associate that plus sign with moving on. That's not what that means. It means that child development 10 is somewhere else on the GE sheet and it only counts once. So for example, child development 10 is in Area E, and it's also in Area D. So you can see that plus sign there. So you either have it count for Area D or E, not both. The only area you can double count is the CSU graduation requirement of US history and government. So if you take history 21 here, that can double count up in Area D here. And same thing with poli-sci. So poli-sci 1, and then you have poli-sci 1 in Area D. So you can meet 6 units and have it double count for the graduation requirement and your social sciences. Okay. Then we have some notes on the back side of the GE sheet. So it's talking about full certification. If you have the entire sheet completed, SRJC then certifies it and tells the four-year university, yes, the student is done with lower division general education. So remember, you'll still have 9 more units of upper division general ed to complete once you get to the four-year university. But for the CSU, your lower division general education would be completed, okay? And then there are some campus notes here. So like at Chico, if you want to meet their US diversity requirement, you could take, here's Child Development 10, okay? You could take that class. Here's History 21. So you could take History 21 to meet Area D, the US History graduation requirement, as well as the US diversity requirement for Chico. So you can review these to see if there are other things that you could do at SRJC to meet requirements for the four-year universities, okay? Now, when you log into your student portal, you can do that check my degree progress, and it will look at your records to tell you what is done for general education and or your major. That's a great resource. However, it can make mistakes. It's a computer program, okay? So sometimes a course changes, or you know, the discipline, or not the discipline, the number changes, or you took it at a different campus. And so you always want to work with a counselor to make sure that things are done correctly. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask, but that's a great place to go to see, okay, what have I done? One of your assignments in a couple weeks is going to be to fill out a GE sheet. I want you to fill it out. I don't want to see a sheet filled out by a counselor. So I want you to physically fill it out, not just rely on the degree audit, but I will talk about that more in a couple of weeks. All right.